Hello, everybody. You can call me Hunch, and today we're going to be talking about everything I love: Bitcoin, DeFi, memes, blah blah, so on and so forth. But before I do that, I have to stipulate, just like I do in every video, this is all not financial advice. This is all just for fun. It's a case study. The way I do it is I have a theoretical portfolio that I would be investing in during the bull run, and then I talk about other things for fun. So don't ever come back and tell me, "Oh, you showed me a meme coin. Oh, you showed me this. You showed me Welsh. You showed me not. You showed me." Pepe, listen, I love those things. Please watch my videos. I absolutely adore them. But I never advocate for them being a part of a theoretical portfolio. High risk gambling, obviously. And please use regulated financial markets for all your investing. This is just about education, okay? And what I would do if this was on a regulated market, so on and so forth. So, if you're new here, I'm huge stacks bull. Bitcoin DeFi is my theory for this bull run. L2s are on top of that because those are almost like mutual funds for Bitcoin DeFi because everything can be built on those, right? Something like TRAC would be an example of that as an indexer, and they have TAP coming out, stacks right now, BVM, Bitcoin OS under Sovereign, all those things. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so I tweeted this today. Crypto Haze is right about Athena, but misspelled it. The proper name is ARKADIKO. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, Arthur Hayes he's one of the founders of an exchange. He's probably a billionaire or something, but he's basically talking about how USD on top of ETH is going to be working. He talks about Lido finance and liquid staking and how Tether's too big and so on and so forth. So I encourage you to read this this article, right? He's a pretty smart guy. But I disagree, right? I'm not saying it won't work, right? He's probably talking about MakerDAO on here in some relation to that. They have DAI, the stable coin. Now, I just don't think it's good. There will be stable coins on ETH. I just don't think it's the biggest opportunity, first of all. And it should even be built on that, right? I'm still not convinced that proof of stake is not a centralization issue, right? The more money you have, the more you validate the network, so on and so forth. So I think this is how we beat them now, right? This is how we beat the market. And I've been thinking this whole time, right? Everyone's paying attention to AI and gaming, and those do really well, and I talk about them, but I think it's very difficult to pick them, right? I think it's basically like gambling. You're throwing money at them, right? They're basically memes, right? AI, right? For example, like GPU, right? They're trying to be another render, but it's basically a meme, right? Going from 4 million to 150 million, and you can get some winners on those, and I encourage you to do that in a safe way, but it's not a winning strategy in my opinion, right? So let's talk about some stuff here. A long time ago, and I'll preface everything with this, okay? Oh, this was over here. Okay. See, we get all mixed up. I talked about something called Bitcoin cats, and this is going to relate to something later, okay? So just remember, I've made a video about Bitcoin cats. I thought cats were an interesting game that they had. You know, they have an NFT collection or an Ordinals collection, but I digress. So just remember that. Now, to keep going and prefacing this video, I like this tweet a lot. You have to believe you can get rich to actually get rich, right? You have to believe that you've studied something long enough, that you've listened to the right people, that you've done all the homework to get rich. So that's really important. And you can't just listen to what I'm saying or somebody else is saying. You've got to forge your own path, right? You have your own emotions. You trade on emotions. You hold on emotions. This is all on you, right? I'm just a guy you're listening to help build conviction, but you have to use your internal clock and feedback loop to make decisions. Now, I just wanted to say this right here. I'm all in products I love. Ghosty is amazing. TRAC gave us Nat Cats and Monkeys, which is my PFP, right? Sav and DIKO are my dream to fix the yield curve. Alex is a flawless product. It feels like for decentralized DeFi platform. And Welsh is just Welsh is just like, what? BAF. I think I meant like badass as fuck. Okay, I don't know. Who cares? But the point is, like, my portfolio is something theoretically portfolio is all the things that I love, right? And I left a few off of there, like stacks and Bitcoin VM or Bitcoin virtual machine, right? But these are all products that I actually really love, right? The new one, BVM, is more speculative. I haven't really used the chain yet. But sometimes you just have to jump in the middle of a bull run while I still try to understand it. It's going to take a while. I can't learn everything super quick. I have a newborn, but I'm not just coming up with this. Like, these are all things that I think are important and I use. That doesn't mean I'm not in the Ethereum ecosystem. I'm not in the Solana ecosystem, right? I've done all those things. I just don't talk about them because it's not something that I'm an expert in, I feel like, or I'm very knowledgeable, or I can provide you any value, I feel like you can do that on your own as of right now. And as soon as I do, I will be talking about it for you. Okay, so here's why I talked about one cat, right? This is Dan Held. He's been in crypto for a long time. He said prediction several Bitcoin L2s are going to hit 10 billion market cap this cycle, and one will probably hit 100 billion. So I think he's talking about stacks, right? He works for the Stacks Foundation, I believe, right? So I absolutely think he's talking about stacks. I do think stacks can hit 100 billion. That doesn't mean it will. There's a good chance it probably won't, right? That seems like a high end, right? But it depends on how high Bitcoin goes. If you think about all the L2s on Ethereum last cycle, right, there's not that many on Bitcoin. Stacks can certainly accrue a lot of value, I think. Okay, now that's the point here, right? This is a major theme, right? Bitcoin DeFi, now L2s, right? Everyone's focused on AI gaming. We're focused over here on Bitcoin DeFi specifically, and now Bitcoin L2s because it encompasses Bitcoin DeFi under it. But that's why I talked about Bitcoin cats, because someone tweeted at me today that even they are launching an L2. I don't know if that's true, but I think that is freaking hilarious in my opinion, right? I mean, that is hilarious if they are launching an L2. But it just goes to show you like what's going on, the fever pitch, everything going on around here. Okay, JK Sats, he's the one who led me on to Bitcoin Virtual Machine, right? He said stacks at 100 billion is a 25 times in price, and BVM at 10 billion is 175 times in price, right? So that's extraordinary, right? $1,000 in BVM, and if it does hit that prediction, which is certainly now not outlandish for what some of these side chains are at, right, is like 175 grand, just doing basic math, right? You put 10,000, I mean, that's 1.7 something million, whatever math you want to, moon math you want to do. Now, does that mean it's going to hit that? No, you have to scale out at certain positions if you want to retain the wealth, right? I'm not going to go through that, but, you know, it's going to be very difficult to hit those targets of those moon math problems you're doing in your head, right? But everybody does them. Don't let them sway your decision making. But I do think this is part of the trend, right? This is an important signal in the trend, right? So I've been making videos about how I'm still bullish Bitcoin DeFi, but I moved over theoretically to more like BVM, right, away from Orange and Sovereign. Now, I'm going to talk about Sovereign, right? So I tweeted this today. He might be right. I should have never doubted, right? So if you go look at this, right, SIP approved to launch build on Bitcoin. Bitcoin DeFi and layer 2s are booming. Bitcoin OS being built, which is a roll-up layer, right? So, you know, if you look at the chart, right? Oh, and here we go. They're also going to maybe be adding runes as a trading thing to Sovereign. And I also got word that a while back from one of the developers that they're going to have tap on it. So hugely bullish, right? Maybe things are speeding up faster than I thought. And right, I never was bearish on Sovereign. I use that in the title, but it just meant like there's other places to be. So if you're going to leave one, maybe this. But I want to correct that, right? Because look how long I've been talking about this, right? I've been talking about this like way down here, okay? It's gone up like 400%. So like don't hate on me, right? And I'm correcting it as soon as I know it, right? We're breaking out of this trend. Can the breakout of this trend hold? That's the real question we're going to be talking about. It's very possible, right? I don't want to say don't be exposed to this. I think this is probably a fantastic product. They've been around for a long time, and they're building, right? So booming example of Bitcoin L2, Bitcoin DeFi integrated together, booming, right? TRAC has been consolidating, and we've been talking about this since 20 cents. It's been consolidating for a long time now. The reason I think it's not booming, and this is the same reason I think Ghosty Cash is not booming, is because they're migrating over to TAP, and TAP is not out yet. So if you start listing these things before exchanges know if it's either TAP or a BRC20, you're going to have a huge problem. So I think, based on that logic, it's a huge opportunity to be accumulating these theoretically if you like these, right? Again, not financial advice, but the same thing with Ghosty Cash, right? This has been wedging down for like 6 months, and we've been talking about this since 11 cents, right? They've revamped the website, right? I never advocate for anonymous swaps, but they're, and I say this all the time, they should make an app for non-anonymous swaps, right? We don't want to do any degeneracy here, but the product is like, it literally works flawlessly. Okay, so specifically Bitcoin to Solana, Bitcoin to ETH, right? But they have all of these, and that doesn't mean they always work, right? Because some chains are down or they're too clogged, right? Stacks is clogged sometimes. It doesn't have to be down. I didn't mean to say it like that. But sometimes the chain is just congested. It takes a long time, so on and so forth. But this works flawlessly, and they removed, I believe, Monero, which was a huge problem for Binance, right? So now they use ZK Snarks, right? So they're continuing to develop. I wouldn't be surprised if they continue to add more and more, maybe a tap exchange named on this. This is at like 13 million or something like that, or whatever. It's 14 million. So I think the upside for this is absolutely incredible, right? A 10x is still at 140 million. I wouldn't be surprised to see this at a $500 million plus, right? So that's like a 50x essentially, or maybe a little less because it's at 14 million. I could be wrong about this, right? Bitcoin DeFi, but I think absolutely this is a huge opportunity that we need to be patient with, okay? Now, ORNJ Crypto, I was criticizing them before too as well with Sovereign. Supposedly, they're going to release the wallet soon. To me, it's a bit of a red flag, but I love the idea. I can't walk away from this, right? Like when I made that video about bearish on Sov and ORNJ, it doesn't mean I was completely out theoretically. I just thought I wanted to stimulate your thoughts on going a different direction, okay? Now, you know me, I never add things to the theoretical portfolio unless I explicitly say it. I am definitely adding this, okay? As of right now, I will let you explicitly know if I'm not. Remember, I'm very explicit. This is part of a theoretical portfolio for me. This is not. For me, this is, I don't know a lot about it, but I just know that developers are talking about it. I know that modularity is a huge theme this bull run with TIA and the venture capitalists behind it. I know that speaking to different developers that it's not as decentralized as something like Stacks, but it can definitely process transactions faster. There's some benefits to being able to move more in a less decentralized way, like Solana or something like that. So I definitely think I'm into this because Bitcoin DeFi is under it on the NAKA chain. I'm not saying that's not a rug pull, but to me, the risk reward is absolutely there at 38 million. If this does go to 10 billion, I mean, the gains are absolutely huge, right, for relatively small investment. So could it go to zero? Sure, but you need to be thinking about statistical chances, what's the likelihood of something happening, an outcome, and then how much you can possibly make, right? So you should read through this, right, thing about BVM. He's basically saying they are not the same, right? It can process transactions faster, right? The team is vested. They have a lot of partnerships. They're using multi-sig for security for sequencers, right? So it's not as decentralized, right? There's always going to be trade-offs, right? Bitcoin is as decentralized at the base layer as we're going to get, and then you're going to have trade-offs all around it, right? Okay. I think that's the way you have to layer it. I've been saying this since I first discovered Stacks, right? And how I've criticized ETH, how they shouldn't have smart contracts on the base layer. It's all about that trinity, right? So I continue to use this logic to go in the right direction. Could I be wrong? Sure. Excuse me, I'm talking quickly. Okay, so this is the DeFi under BVM. Now, I'm not going to go into further details. I really don't have the time to start using the wallet and using the product. All the other things I talk about, I have used those products. So there is that risk, right? I'm stipulating that risk right here for that, okay? So important to know. Now, if you look at the Stacks chart, this is obviously part of a theoretical portfolio too. Bitcoin DeFi under it. This is hard to ignore. This is like Solana, basically, okay? In fact, it's probably better than Solana. Actually, the returns might be around a similar thing for a big chain, but this is what I think Dan Held is talking about, possibly 100 million. This is hard to ignore. I've been talking about this thing for 3 years. It seems that reality is catching up, right? How Bitcoin should be layered. I would continue to pay attention to this heavily, right? I think everything under it is starting to juice again, right? ARKADIKO, I think absolutely ready to fly. If you look at the chart, to me, that's absolutely bananas. Alex, I think I don't have to do any TA. It looks like they're ready, like it's trying to push through resistance, right? I don't need to do like volume analysis, right? I know the Bitcoin trend is up. Is this the right narrative I want to be a part of? I think you don't have to overthink it. I think if you do overthink it, you're going to talk yourself in or out of something that you should or should not be in, right? So now last thing we're talking about, which is not part of a theoretical portfolio. Remember, I'm very explicit about that. So you can't criticize me, and you should not be following what I'm doing anyway. I could be wrong about all of this, right? Is Rosar. He's kind of like the community manager of WELSH Coin, and he's setting up donations to get listed on exchanges, centralized exchanges. I think that's a fabulous idea. I think it's really important that we continue to get liquidity in it if we're going to all make generational Welsh. That's a meme. It's only supposed to be funny, losers. Don't take me too seriously. Okay, I don't want you coming back to me and say, you know, come back and sue me and be like, this guy on the internet told me. Bro, listen, this is cryptocurrency. You should not be in this. This is all just education. Okay, losers. Now, I talk about not a lot. This thing is actually going to go to nothing. This and Welsh are having a battle between the first meme cryptocurrency. Obviously, you should not be putting everything in this, but it would be actually hilarious if this did go to nothing. I think it's funny though. I don't know why. I feel like I want to give my shirt, my last piece of clothing, to keep buying this thing. I'm only joking, right? You know, if I were to invest in something like this, it would be a very small amount, right? The name is nothing. It certainly could go to nothing, or could something go to something, right? The world is ironic. I continue to think it's important to study the meme, even if you don't invest in the meme. You probably shouldn't invest in the meme, but to understand crypto, I think you got to look at these type of case examples, so on and so forth. The last thing I want to say real quickly is these gnat monkeys. I think the floor is thin on these things, and I do think these things are going to pump eventually, right? They're already pumping. I think they're so cool, man. If you look at gnat dogs, those things are pumping. I minted these for like essentially free. I think if you're into DMT theory, right, under TRAC, I think these NFTs are a relatively inexpensive way to have fun with it. Again, Nat Punks, we can search these. These are also a relatively what? No active listings for Nat Punks? What does that mean? Yes, there is. I think these may pump at some point, right? Now, why do I think that? Right, Nat Cats, obviously a huge collection when it first came out. This was the first collection of DMT or digital matter theory under TRAC, right? Indexed by TRAC. That's why I think it's going to be huge. I criticize the NAT token. I don't think it works well for tokens having a weird supply that's based on data. But I do think that this is a perfect reason to use DMT, digital matter theory, to bring about Ordinal's collections. I think that's an incredible idea. I think there's further use cases that we haven't thought of. But, right, this is an expensive way to do it, 0.06, whatever that is, right, 6% of 72,000, you know, 4,000, 5,000 bucks, whatever it is. But these gnat monkeys are relatively inexpensive way to get exposure, right? And it's already starting to pump, right? This one, I mean, this one looks, I mean, if you go look at my thing, right, it's, I mean, this thing is lit, dude. It's like got a head, like, I didn't pick this, like, it was just random. I think this is so cool, man. It's got a bow with a cigarette. I mean, this dude's like got total confidence, bro. So I think it's really cool to get exposure to these. I love these. I think it's really fun and interesting. So pay attention to that. Anyway, you can call me Hunch. I got a hunch. I think it's Bitcoin DeFi. I think you need to relax, chill, focus, and wait. Get back to what I've been saying. But do it with your own twist on it, right? Don't follow me, right? This is just a case study. I'm tired. I have a newborn. I make mistakes. I tweet stupid things. A lot of it is just for fun. It's humor. A lot of what I tweet, right? There's some truth said in jest, but a lot of it is just humor. So please don't take me too seriously. I try to be very explicit for what I'm talking about. It's clear as day what I like. Stacks, DIKO, ORNJ, TRAC, Ghosty Cash, Sovereign, VM, right? I mean, it's so clear as day. Please don't come back to me and say like, oh, you told me this, you told me that, right? Right. I own up when I make a mistake. I did it in this video. So anyway, you can call me Hunch. I got a huge hunch, and you're it, baby.